Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of McMillan and Morrow. I'm Dr. Sean McMillan. This is my co-host, Rich Morrow.
What up? Welcome back.
Yes, and hey, we're here to do what we do. Thank you for tuning in. This is another great episode where we survey what often is the ridiculous.
I love hearing how you're going to describe the show every time we intro the show.
Because it changes almost every week.
It really do.
We never know where it's going. And today, it's going somewhere that's going to be remarkably interesting. So have a seat, take off your shoes, get you something to drink, and let's get started.
Let's get it. Okay, so we're going to start off in India today. We don't talk too much about India, but according to the 2023 Tribune in India, this is a petty story. We're starting off petty. A married woman ran away and eloped with another man, right? You hear this happen every day. Well, as an act of revenge...
I don't hear this happening every day, but go ahead.
You hear it every day on somewhere. You know it's happening every day.
Not in my little world, but go ahead.
As an act of revenge, I want you to try to guess what her husband did, ex-husband.
He burned her clothes.
That's too vague. You know we own McMillan and Morrow. We getting...
Keyed her car.
No. He sought out and married the wife of his ex-spouse's lover.
What? So she had an affair with some other guy. Mm-hmm. She was married. Mm-hmm. He goes and has sex with the guy's spouse?
Yeah.
So the guy was married too?
Yeah.
The other guy was married
too. He married his wife.
So now they're married to each other's spouses.
And not only that, they ran away together, and he's taken away the man's 2 sons and daughter. So they had kids, and he took his wife and ran away with their kids because she took custody of the kids.
So does he really love her? Because I don't, that's a little too much for revenge. I don't think I'd be doing all that just to get back at somebody.
I don't know if it's because he loves her, but I don't know. Maybe he really fell in love with this new woman.
No, that's what I'm saying. Does he really love the new woman?
He must, or he's that petty. He might be the petty king.
See, this is where pettiness runs amok.
It's getting loose
because you go too far.
Yeah, it's definitely too far.
You spend too much time trying to get revenge on somebody, you end up screwing up your own life.
Yeah.
Because now you got to pay for another wife and some more kids. Yeah. People look at me. All right? Sometimes it's just better to let it go.
Just let it go.
The best revenge is not revenge. The best revenge is greatness and success. You want to make people watch you shine, make them have to Google you, clap for you, show up at your awards ceremony. Not being so petty that you end up creating more bills and responsibilities for yourself.
Yeah.
I wouldn't do that.
Yeah, no, hell no. I'm not that petty, but I know people that are.
But here's the other thing, too. I might be that petty sometimes, just for full disclosure. But what I'm also not is I'm not so crazy about somebody that I can't let your ass go if you cheat on me.
Yeah.
But no, I'm not. You want to go do that?
Yeah.
Go do that.
You just ain't gonna have to worry about me no more.
No.
Yeah.
No. I think there are too many people who think that life has only one way to bless them.
Yeah, and you said that before. I agree.
Yeah, I'm sorry. That there's just one person. Mm-hmm. And no, there's more. There's plenty of people. Absolutely. You'll find somebody else.
Yeah, there's 8 billion people on Earth.
You will find somebody else to care about you, sleep with you, whatever it is you're trying to do. Mm-hmm. You know, people want to dishonor your relationship. Fine. Yeah. But don't dedicate the rest of... See, now, the entire rest of his life is defined by this woman.
That act of revenge and feeling that hatred in his heart that he must have. Yeah.
No, the entire rest of his life. He has a wife, and he stole somebody's kids. And the entire rest of his life is now defined by the entire rest of his life is an echo.
Yeah, at this point.
I mean, that's not how you should live.
So I have a question. I had a conversation recently. I met a marriage counselor and therapist, and she's one of the coolest people I've met in a long time, you know. So I'm like, I feel like this is an opportunity for me to ask a few questions about some things that she's probably super, you know, educated on from hearing all of these different relationships and stories. Well, she was asking me, do you think that there's anybody out there that just has it all for somebody, an actual perfect match where people can see themselves monogamous and fully fulfilled for life. And I'm curious to know if you think that's possible after having the conversation with her, because a lot of these stories end up being because of something love related. And it raises a question to me. I'm curious to know how you think on that subject of if there is, I think, one person, or you think there's one person out there for everybody that truly will have you feel like this is perfect.
I think yes and no. I think for some people, yes, because their journey, their stories, and their lives have predisposed them to be monogamous, so that they can be committed to one person.
Yeah.
Now, that one person is never perfect. That one person is just perfect and right for them. So no one comes with 100% of what you want.
Yeah.
But they can get a good 80. If you get a good 80, you don't want.
So that's not considered settling then, taking 80% of what you feel like
How
you
is
may
80% settling?
But that is also the question that I'm asking, though.
No. Anybody who thinks you're going to get 100% of what you want is naive and delusional and childish, and need to get out the house more and put your damn video game down.
That's not the reality of life.
Yeah, come out of augmented reality, you know, and get into how people actually are.
So,
well, let me finish this thought. Well, hold on to that question. Because you have to remember that you, the proverbial you, not you.
Of course.
You're not 100% for nobody either.
You're right.
Who do you think you are demanding 100% of what you want, and you don't bring 100% to the table?
It's great psychology.
It's a ridiculous proposition.
Yeah. But at the same time, it's something that when you look at America now, they say the divorce rate is over 50% now, right?
Well, maybe, this is going to get me in trouble. Maybe it should be. Because a lot of people got married and they should have never got together in the first place. They got married for reasons that don't make sense. We got married because we had kids. Having kids is not a reason to get married. I'm sorry, people. It just ain't.
It's an excuse.
Yeah. I got married because I wanted to have sex, because I was stuck up and repressed in the church, and they told me the only way I could have sex was to get married. But that ain't a reason to get married either. You know what I'm saying?
That's true, yeah.
So there are a lot of people who committed themselves to marriage that probably should have stayed single longer. And if for no other reason, they should have stayed single longer because they didn't do enough work on themselves.
Yeah.
Being single is the most important time or aspect or stage of being in a relationship. It's what you do when you're single that determines how successful you're going to be when you're married in a relationship.
Yeah, it's like an athlete in the off season.
It's like everything that prepares us for everything that's important.
Yeah.
But let me go back to the original question that you posed. I said yes about the one person. But then there's no. The no part of that answer is there's some people whose life journey and their pain and their suffering does not lend for them to believe in commitment. And they fundamentally don't believe in it, so they fundamentally don't practice it. And so they shouldn't try to do something that they're not. They should go into a relationship being honest. I'm not good at commitment. I've never been committed to anybody. I'm going to cheat on your ass. Okay? So let's mitigate this pain and have an understanding.
Okay.
I would much rather somebody have that conversation with me in the beginning.
I feel like 99% of men don't have the balls to say it.
Well, we need to raise better men, right? We need to produce better men.
See, now we're getting to the root of, a lot of these issues. And I know we're a little bit off topic from this story, but at the end of the day.
It's our show.
Yeah, this kind of stuff.
There's no off topic.
You're right. I'm about to cuss. No, forget the topics. But no, real talk though, like getting to the root of, all of this stuff is so interesting to me because, obviously my career revolves around understanding people. And to be a good reflection of that, I want to be able to understand why so many of us struggle with things that I guess are subjective at times, in debate on if this is human nature versus just human psychology that's developed because of our society and the things that we practice as a culture at times, et cetera, et cetera. So seeing that crossover between them is really, really something over the years that I'm growing up starting to see nobody really knows the answer to.
Because there is no one answer.
Yeah, exactly.
Let me put it this way. It's not a one-size-fits-all cure or answer. Every man is different.
Exactly.
Every human being is different. I'm a monogamous kind of person. I don't find a whole lot of pleasure in a whole bunch of people. Yeah. It just doesn't do it for me. But there are plenty of men in the world who are like, the more I get, the better I feel. One ain't enough.
Yeah, I feel
Now, does that come from the fact that they were raised to believe that having more women would make them more man?
No.
Or is it the case that they have a libido, a sexual appetite that is grossly inflated? Mm-hmm. Just because that's how they were born? They just naturally horny? or you know, they're like little whatever. I don't know, but there is no one. Every man, every man, and every woman. We're talking about men right now. Yeah. Every man has to look himself in the mirror and make those fundamental conclusions and decisions about who he is, what drives him, what motivates him, what defines the raison d'etre, his reason for being. Mm-hmm. And nobody else can really speak to that. All I'm saying is, whatever you are, whomever you are, bring that to the table honestly and forthrightly and let people know. Mm-hmm. So that in the case that, go back to the answer, it's no. There is no perfect person for someone who refuses to commit to a perfect person. So someone who's never going to be committed could meet the female version of Jesus. What would that name be? Jacetta? I don't
Jacina?
You know, I mean, assuming they were straight. You get my point, right? You can meet the perfect. Come on, stay with me.
I'm with you.
You can meet the perfect person.
Yeah.
And how many of your friends and my friends have met the perfect person for them and still messed it up?
And it's funny because everybody around them knows that usually before they do.
No, they know it.
And they know it.
They know it, but they're not, for whatever reason. We don't have time to get into all the reasons. Whether how they were raised, their trauma, their sense of self, how they feel strong, whatever it is. Mm-hmm. They were not able to receive what was perfect for them. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter if there's a perfect person out there if you're not ready to receive it. Mm-hmm. And that's the work you have to do.
Yeah.
And that's the prayer that I pray, not just with a relationship, but also with everything. You know, God, make me able to receive the best that you have to offer me. That's money, that's opportunity, that's career, that's everything.
Yeah.
Because if it shows up tomorrow and you're not ready to receive it, then you've missed your moment. Mm. Don't do that, people.
And ain't no telling when the next one is coming, so.
And in a lot of cases, it don't come.
Exactly. And we've seen a lot of people.
Then you start settling. Go back to your point. Then you start settling. You know, you get to be later on in life.
I feel like you're running out of time.
You're running out of time.
Do something.
Right. And you start doing in your 30s and 40s and 50s what you should have did in your 20s. And it ends up being something that it never had to be. So is there a perfect person? Perhaps. But even the perfect person is only perfect for you.
Amen.
They don't come with 100% of what you want. Every marriage and relationship is unique to itself. Mm-hmm. It has its own ecosystem, its own universe of things that make it work. I had another show on this network, and I would talk to people all the time on that show, and I would ask a fundamental question to almost everybody who came on that show. Here's the question. What do you really want?
Yeah.
What do you really want? And most of the time, you okay over there?
Yeah, I spilled a little. I'm all right, though. All right. You know, I'm 12.
Right. You and the water fighting. He's fighting with the mug,
That's
people.
my lip.
Most of the people who came on that show could not answer that question. Mm-hmm. And if they answered it with cliche. And if they answered it not with cliche, they answered it based upon content that wasn't genuinely
It wasn't from
theirs.
them. Yeah.
This is what they were used to answering, given, whatever it was. You don't even have a good attainment, a good sense of what it is you need at this stage. Because what you need at your 20s is not what you need in your 40s.
Damn right.
You want to have monkey sex in your 20s. I mean, just monkey sex. Y'all having sex in the kitchen, on the toilet.
You might not even make it home before you done had sex already.
He's pulling over on the 405. Come out. Does yours work? Mine does too. Monkey sex. And
you know what the shoulder for, right?
That's what it's made for, right? I'm all for it.
Yeah.
Great. In your 20s, go on and do it.
Yeah, I love this topic. It's so funny.
He loves the sex, people. That's what he's saying, okay?
It's hilarious.
Send your comments and inquiries about him to him. Don't include me in none of this. Back to my point. So yeah, in your 20s, monkey sex, all that great. It's wonderful, especially in your late teens, right? I mean, it's just all about the splendiferous nature of your pulchritudinous wonder.
If that's what you want to call it.
You just
the water is boiling hot, in other words.
You're just beautiful, But when you get in your 30s and 40s, you still like sex, obviously, but it may not be the driving force of how you choose a person.
It's not steering your life either at that point.
Yes, I need you to make my eyes roll up in the back of my head. That's important. But I might need you to,
get your together.
Something outside of the bedroom, okay? Now, by the time you get in your 50s and 60s, you may have some different requirements.
It might go back. I feel like 50s and 60s, I be seeing these cougars out here. They look like they hot and ready, little Caesars. I be like, what in the world is going on?
Okay.
And then they be looking for a 22-year-old again.
Okay.
We in LA, so I see a lot of
I'm really, you just cursed.
We've been cussing all season. It'll be all right. It's our show. Didn't you say that?
No. I'm trying to make a point, people. I tried to teach something, and then this one goes off into...
I have my moments, man.
Yeah. Can I finish my thoughts?
You can go ahead. I'm sorry. This should be tickling.
Thank you for inviting me back to what I was saying.
I was tickled.
By a cougar?
Maybe. Keep going.
You've been tickled by a cougar before?
No, I'm not going to comment on that.
Okay. You volunteered it, so I just went down the rabbit hole. All right, back to my point. The point is, what the hell was I saying?
It don't even matter. I feel like we need a commercial break.
Maybe we do. I don't know.
On that note, if you want to keep up with us, tap into all of the streaming platforms that we're on. You don't have to just watch us. You can listen to us also.
Oh, no, I remember what I was saying.
Oh, we're back.
So at a different stage of your life, you need different things. You know what I'm saying? And it's okay. You just have to be aware of what I need in my 50s is not what I needed in my 20s.
Yeah.
And you have to be able to articulate that. And you make decisions, intelligent decisions, based upon where you are now.
Yeah.
Not where you used to be. A lot of people are choosing people based upon the stage they just left. That person was good from where you came from and not good for where you are, and they damn sure might not be good for where you're going.
You're right, and aren't you
glad I remembered that?
I know, and then you're going to like this, and that's because a lot of people don't spend the time answering the question that you were talking about. What do you want? If you don't know what you want, you might still be focusing on something that you wanted in another stage of your life.
Okay, what do you want?
I want a lot of things. Honestly, I want the people around me to be blessed in abundance. I want all of the things that I see in the world that I want to make change in. I want to be able to be a voice in that. I want my family to be healthy. I want God to be the center of my life and for him to continue just steering my ship. If I got that, I'm good.
Ask me what I want.
What do you want?
To look like you. That's what I want. Now we go to commercial break.
And on that note, we will see y'all in a minute.
Now we'll take a break.
Okay. So, that was fun. And before we go into this next story, I want to remind our viewers that you guys can listen to us on Spotify, Apple Music, anything that you listen to. We also have the podcast version as well, so you can take us in the car with you or in your headphones while you're working out, whatever you want to do. There you go. You ready for this next story?
Yeah.
All right. Feel good story. And it's in Florida. That last story almost sounded like a Florida man story, but
no,
this one actually
that last story had a dimension of depth to it, so it couldn't have come from Florida. Sorry.
Anyway, according to CNN,
not sick anymore.
Yeah, you're not. You're not. Definitely not. He's back, people. So, according to CNN, in Florida, a woman won the lottery, right? But it was literally right after she spent her life savings on her daughter's cancer treatment. How amazing is that?
That is a great story.
It's amazing. So it was a Florida mother, of course, and her daughter had breast cancer. And one day after her daughter's final treatment, man, look at God, on a whim, she bought the last $10 lottery ticket at her gas station.
How much did she win?
$2 million.
Wow. I'm happy for her, but why does this kind of stuff happen for me? Like, what do I have to do to get this Hold on a second. I need to have a. This ain't a religious show, but we're about to have a little prayer. Baby Jesus, why can't this happen for me, man? I mean, what do I have to do? I'm nice to people.
You are.
I help people.
You do.
I don't want nobody to have to get cancer in order for me to win the lottery, but I'm willing to do it as long as it ain't me.
So check me out. What if your version of winning the lottery, because her chances of winning were 1 in 4 million, right?
Yeah.
What if your lottery, comparison is you having your own show and you having multiple shows and you doing all the things you've done? We all hit the lottery in our own ways. We might not always feel like it's the lottery, but the chances of a lot of the things happening in our lives that happen to most of us are extremely unlikely.
No, we talking about cold $2 million.
Yeah, no, $2 million, that's the day after.
It's great, though.
The day after.
And let me just say, because I kind of curtailed her, I didn't give her moment.
Yeah.
I jumped right to
Let
myself.
her have her moment.
I went right to me. You notice that?
Yeah.
I went right to me. I didn't even give a damn.
If I did that, you would have jumped on it. You would have.
No, listen, we all have a little selfishness in
You're
us.
right. We can't all be perfect.
Or maybe it wasn't selfishness. Maybe it was struggle.
We've all
You know what I'm saying? Wait,
trauma.
maybe it was my struggle talking. Maybe it was my hope.
I know the
Let
feeling.
this happen for me. But back to I don't think anything can remunerate your child having cancer, right? I mean, that's just an awful thing. I would never want that. Did the kid live? Is the
That's
kid
what
alive?
I'm over here looking at. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure, yes, she's alive.
Yeah.
Hopefully she's in remission. But it says that she's alive and well.
Well, I like the story because it is encouraging for people to know that good things can still happen.
Absolutely.
That the world is not so dark and seedy,
And people are getting blessed every day.
and that good things can happen for you.
Yeah.
If you're good to people. We talked about this before the show started. The principle works. You do reap what you sow.
Yeah.
And be not weary in well-doing, for you will reap what you sow if you faint not. And she was faithful to her child, and the universe was faithful to her. If everybody out there watching, let that be your guide. Don't follow the person. Don't follow the example of the person who is just screwing people over.
Yeah.
Follow the example of this woman who made You see, I believe this. I believe love will open doors that nothing else can. Love will do things for you that no other expression of yourself can possibly provide. And remember what she was doing, she was making sacrifice. When you add sacrifice and love and you put them together, right?
Yeah.
And you wrap them in generosity and kindness, there is no way you cannot win.
Man, what would you call that sandwich?
I don't know. That's a great question. I had to think about that. What would you call that sandwich? That was good.
What would you call it? I want to know. That's a real question.
You're like awake today.
I know.
What would you
I woke
call
up
that?
early.
I don't know what you would call it. But I do know this.
The love sandwich.
Okay, that was terrible. No, we wouldn't call it that. We need a better name. But whatever you call it, it is the recipe for success.
Yeah.
When you are sacrificing, and it is rooted in love and offered in kindness, you can't lose.
And wrapped in generosity.
You can't lose.
Yep.
Now, you may not win right away. It may take 4 days, as in the case of this woman. It may take 40 years. It may take however long it takes. But in the end, you will walk away better than how you started. And I think your point is well taken. I kind of poo-pooed it jokingly before. You may not get $2 million. You may get a show. You may get whatever it is. But here's my thing. I think good people need to know that and just regular people, that the kindness you do for people was not a waste of your time. But I believe I've been kind and good to people, and people have been kind and good to me. And some of the times that I've been kind and good to people have not immediately come with a return. In fact, some folks took advantage of it, right? But I can trace the doors that have been opened and the opportunities that have come, and it's directly related to the seed that I put in the ground. You put an apple seed in the ground, you don't get pineapple.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I think we ought to put as many seeds in the ground as we possibly can. Like this woman, she put a seed in the ground, for the sake of her child. And it came back, she had an immediate return. Some folks have a delayed one. But my point is only you will ultimately benefit from the sacrifices you make in love or through love.
Yeah, so it's naive not to think that they're not connected, because it's hard to deny coincidences like this when you hear a story like this and, you know, the acts of love, and it's clearly God. That's my answer, you know, and I definitely am glad that we got this story, because we need some more feel-good stories. So, it's a grandpa story. Unfortunately, it's not a great grandpa. According to the Straits Times, in China,
straight people got their own news.
The Straits Times. So this is the paper just for the straights out there. No, I'm joking. A grandpa in China kidnaps his own granddaughter, right? And demands a ransom so that he can continue gambling. This cracks me up because my dad would love to go to the casino.
Don't put your grandmother on blast like that.
I'm laughing because I'm like,
God.
Nana, you better not get no ideas watching this.
Nana, forgive him for putting your issue out there.
She just like to hit the slots. Hey, she wouldn't be mad at me. Hell, everybody knows it's true, they know it. But yeah, no, I'm laughing because I just couldn't even imagine a man a grandfather kidnapping his granddaughter and that being taken seriously.
You know what's weird about that? It's kind of weird. I just got back from Maryland. Mm-hmm. I had to do a wedding. One of my childhood friends got married. I did the wedding. Okay. And the hotel was connected to a casino. Mm. And I've actually never been in a casino.
What?
Never. I don't gamble.
You don't walk in them.
Nothing in a casino interests me. But to get to the mall, I had to walk through the casino.
I was going to say, you haven't had to do it in Vegas before?
I never been to Vegas, remember?
Oh, yeah, damn.
I never been to
crazy.
Vegas. Yeah, I used to be holy. I ain't no more, but I used to be. I'm definitely a sinner now, but I used to live right. Anyway, so I go down to the casino, and I start looking at the people in the casino, and they look soulless. They look as if they had literally had the life just drawn out of them.
Some of them have.
It was, and then the thing that shocked me, you had middle-aged, big-belly men, you had older women, black and white, but then you also had a lot of people in their 20s. Like I saw a lot of, I can't use
young,
the word.
good-looking people.
Yeah, I mean, like, what are you doing in here?
Trying to hit the lottery.
I didn't get it. Now, the story continues. I'm going somewhere. I had jet lag because, from LA, I was in Maryland, so I couldn't sleep. So I went downstairs to get some water from the front desk, and I said, what's all that? He said, the casino. I said, it's 3:30 in the morning. He said, it's 24 hours. Yeah. So I went and got a cigar, because I smoke cigars, and I went to the cigar section at 4 o'clock in the morning. Now, I have a reason to be there because I have jet lag. I can't sleep. And I'm about to smoke a cigar. This place was packed.
Jumping. That's prime time for the casino.
4 o'clock in the morning, people gambling. I left at 6 a.m. because I finally got tired.
And there was still people coming in.
And it was still like, whoa, man. I was like, what in the world?
But just like any other addiction, there's people that are addicted to that feeling and dopamine that you get from winning. And the chance of even winning. They're not even just getting dopamine from winning. They're getting that just from the thought of, if I do win, I'm walking out of here with X, Y, and Z. And you know the percentages of people that actually walk out of there with X, Y, and Z.
Let me tell you something. I got a lot of issues. I do. But apparently gambling is not one of them. Because the thought never entered into my mind, go play something. Yeah. I was like, $10? The devil is a lie.
I've seen some crazy stuff happen in the casino, though.
I need my pizza.
Well,
is anybody naked in this story?
No.
Is there monkey sex on the table?
No.
Okay.
No monkey sex. It's not even like a crazy and detailed story, but I've just seen people win a lot of money in the casino.
Really?
And change their lives. Yeah.
Like how much?
Man, I saw somebody win $300,000 once. I saw somebody hit for like $200,000 on a freaking slot machine.
Now let me ask you a question. Hold that thought. When the chips come out, so Other people can grab your chips?
No. A lot of well, now because it's a little more modern, chips just don't fall out of the machine no more. They give you a slip that'll have the amount.
I've been watching Ocean's 11. That's what I only know gambling from Ocean's 11.
If all them chips was flying out, I would. In today's day and age, know people
Ocean's
are coming.
12, Ocean's 13.
Yeah. But yeah, no, they get like a slip, but you can see the machine. It'll just be making a lot of noise, and it'll constantly be running up, and you'll see the score. So everybody will notice that it's happening, and you see. And
you have to grab your thing quickly.
Yeah, when that come out, you better be the first one to grab that ticket.
Wow.
Yeah, because it ain't got your name on it. So, unless you had like a rewards card or something that you were using. So and that's also part of the reason why also I was going to tell you, you see so many people in the casinos. These casinos are slick. They will give all kinds of benefits to get people in them casinos. I'm talking about they'll entice you to be like, oh, we'll give you 7 days, staying in the nicest room. We'll give you $300 in food every day. And that's all because they know you're going to go in there and spend money in their casino.
See, they should have done that to me. They should have. They should have said, we will give you the nicest room, $300 worth of food every day. I'd have taken their rooms. I'd have taken their little per diem for the food.
Yeah.
And just bought pizza.
Just bought pizza.
I had no impulse to gamble. Now, I watched the craps table, which, by the way, which camera am I? This one? Totally confusing.
Yeah, you got to learn the rules.
I couldn't figure out what the hell was going on. And I had like 2 locals trying to teach me. I was like, this is confusing.
Yeah.
He had chips flying all over the damn place. And
it's a fun game when you know what's going on.
People taking the dice and they like, dice has to be a certain way. And then they throw it and they do this. I'm like, this is ridiculous.
Not the snap.
This is ridiculous. That's how they.
Not the snap.
What does that mean? What does that do with the dice?
It's just for good luck. It's one of them things. Black people did that. We added that to the crap game. Yeah, they ain't had that before us. I'm sure of it.
I don't get it.
It's one of them exciting rushes though that people get because you can win money fast, and a lot of it is just rhythm and getting in. Some kind of flow. Once you get into that flow, you can run it up. But circling back to our story, because I have a funny question now for you thinking about all of this stuff and gambling and knowing that you're not a gambler.
No.
How much money would it take for you to kidnap your grandson or granddaughter?
What kind of question is that?
Because he did it, and he was only asking for not only either. He was asking for 500,000 won, which is the equivalent of 76,000 US dollars. I'm curious to know what your number is.
For kidnapping?
You're not going to hurt them. They're going to be perfectly fine.
I don't want them that much. They too small right now. When they get to be like 11, I might kidnap one of them.
And how much money would you demand?
That's an absurd question. First of all.
To a non-gambling man, but to somebody that gambles, they'd be like, they'll be calculating numbers.
Again.
That's the 3rd time I said it on this episode, I'm not going to lie. Licensing department, whoever it is, I'm sorry.
It's not a licensing department, it's legal.
Legal, licensing, one of the L's.
Oh my God. Anyway, you gonna get us put off there, man. We need these jobs. We ain't hit the lottery.
I thought we were allowed to say that word. Is that considered a cuss word anymore?
Yes, it is. What's wrong with you?
You wouldn't know.
What were you asking me?
What's the number?
First of all, don't yell at me. That's A. You're gonna get bopped in the head with one of these cups. Second of all,
they glass now. You can't do that.
Boy, they lost his damn
knock
mind.
Me out. We would be kicked off the air.
Listen, you know what's funny? I went into full father mode. Like,
you did.
Who are you talking to like that? You better change your voice. You better adjust that bass in your voice. I don't have a number. I can't even. Let me ask you.
Yeah.
You don't have grandkids or anything. No. What's your number?
I don't know. I feel like
you have a number?
If I went and took cahoots with my nana, she would come up with a number.
This is totally.
She would be like,
this is sin.
We could probably get at least 100.
Aaron, are you praying over there? First of all, there should be no number by which and for which you'd be willing to kidnap someone close to you so that you can go gambling.
So you want to hear the funny twist of the story? So
yeah.
The grandpa was charged with extortion and pleaded not guilty, right? Stating that the kidnapping was a family dispute and not a crime. And the Chinese courts can designate some crimes within families, including domestic domestic violence as family affairs. So they can consider that a family affair, and he could still be charged. But what do you think about that concept, though? Don't that sound? We know it's China.
Well, say welcome to China. But well, you know, if you beat your wife's ass,
you should
it's a family. You should be arrested.
Yeah. So they let some families really figure it out.
You know what the irony of that is? The irony of that is that perspective presumes that much of the hurt that we experience happens outside of your house or your family. When the truth of the matter is, most of us were hurt before we left the house. Say that again. Most of our pain happens in connection to the people who knew us first and might even know us the best. In a lot of ways, I'll go further. People watching may have a different opinion. In a lot of ways, we need to be protected from some parts and aspects of our family. So to have a law that would say, oh, this is just a family dispute, undermines, I think, the reality that a lot of people have, at least in this country, where they're wounded and hurt by the people who are supposed to heal and help.
You just sent off a light bulb in my head.
Really?
Man, because that happens, right? You say we're wounded and hurt before we even go out into the world, right? Once we get out into the world and certain things happen to us, now those are the people that were supposed to, you know, protect us from that growing up, you know. We don't even realize that hurt that we're carrying, we blame it on ourselves a lot of times. And now you're out spreading this, you know, to other people in the world without being aware of where the source of that really came from. And, you know, to blame yourself isn't any better because now you're dealing with a self-love issue. And it's not even something that's your fault. And, man, it just came up to me because I'm like, a lot of people are probably walking around not even aware of that.
Yeah, but let me say this, though. It's a subtle pushback.
Yeah.
It's not your fault, but you are responsible for doing something about it.
You are responsible.
Right?
Yeah.
It's not your fault that a lot of instances that we are the way that we are. But you are responsible for acknowledging what you are.
Exactly.
And then putting in place the things that are going to make you be better. So you don't get to say, because I was hurt by my uncle, or my aunt, parents, that now I'm justified in breaking every woman's heart that I meet.
Yeah.
Or making every man feel small who comes into my life because this is what a man did to me.
Yeah.
No, those two things are not congruent, right? What's the thing when you consecutive?
Consecutive.
You know, they're not. One does not necessarily follow the other. You have to be responsible for what it is you've endured, so that you don't perpetuate it. You don't inflict that kind of suffering on other people. And back to China for a second, because I think that, you know, I know nothing about Chinese society, right?
Yeah.
I'm no expert on international affairs. But it doesn't surprise me that China would take this kind of position, or potentially take this kind of position of making this not a crime, the grandfather stealing the kid.
Why not?
Because it's not like they have the best human rights record in the world. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So if you will beat and jail and kill your own citizens for having a different opinion than the government, then certainly you can sort of acquiesce to somebody who steals their grandkid. My point is this: when you have a moral failing in one area of your life, it's real easy for it to show up in another place.
And that was kind of what.
And that ain't got nothing to do with China, people.
Yeah.
See how I did that?
Because what it was the saying, the way you do one thing is the way you do everything. It definitely ends up showing up and being a factor in your life. And if you're not aware of it, it really can end up steering your ship, and you're not even understanding where these things are coming from. And that is a sad thing to see somebody suffer through. I see people suffering from their own lack of taking accountability for the stuff that happens when they leave the nest, because they're blaming and still hanging on to the fact that this happened to them, when it's like stuff happened to everybody. And if the people that, you know, are the most successful in whatever fields they're in let that be something that stopped them, none of them would be where they are. I mean, obviously there's situations where people have had things, you know, easier roads than others, and, you know, there's a struggle to be had still even in that. But at the end of the day, like you said, taking accountability for what has happened to you and owning your story, that's what I would call it. You got to own your story. You can't let your story own you. And a lot of people are walking around owned by their stories, and You know, that's unhealthy. It's not something that's going to ever leave you feeling fulfilled, and you're going to end up being a complacent person. And complacent people, I mean, I know you're not a fan of them, but it doesn't do nothing for you.
I don't think you end up being complacent. I think you end up being something far more devastating than that.
It's worse than that.
A lot of things.
Yeah, that's just one of the byproducts of it.
Is there more to this?
No, we're going to move to the next story, but we're going to take a break before we do that. Yeah, and then we're going to move on to our next story. How about that? Deal?
I'm confused. What are you
We're going to go on the next story. It's the last story coming up, so we're going to take a break.
I'm like, where's this magical break coming from?
It's coming right now. So we're back. We got a feel-good story. This is going to be our last one, Doc. But we're going to be in China again for this one since we're on the topic. According to the Pop Inquirer, a Chinese man was adopted by a billionaire family when he was a toddler, right?
Why can't that happen to me?
I know. And he returns to his multimillionaire biological parents, though, and he was abducted by human traffickers when, you know, he was younger. So this is like a crazy kind of story. So it's called Yunnan province in southwestern China. When he was 2 years old, he was abducted outside of his house by human traffickers. And the abductors left him because he was too thin and small as a child. And when his parents discovered that he was missing, they began a more than 2-decade-long search. So they've been searching for him for over 20 years. And he got adopted, lo and behold, by a billionaire.
So his family they were millionaires,
Mm-hmm.
and he got adopted by a billionaire.
I see what God be doing for others.
Yeah, this ain't fair.
I'm failing upwards.
Yeah, this is.
But since
This is terrible.
you know, it's crazy because he was adopted by a billionaire, you know, family, and he grew up with 2 older sisters and a younger brother in that family, right? So he has these foster brothers and sisters, but since he wasn't their own child, he still felt like he didn't belong. And after he graduated from school, he didn't go to school anymore because his adopted parents viewed education as useless. The billionaires.
What do they do for a living?
I want to know.
Before I slam them for being stupid. You don't think education is useless?
Yeah.
You don't know what they do? Can
It
you
doesn't
Google
say.
what they do? I want to know what they do.
We might have to dig into the family.
Yeah.
But luckily, with the advancement of DNA tests, the biological family was able to find and reunite with him. And now they live a peaceful, happy life. And he's with his real family, and he has siblings in that family as well. And they also happen to be billionaires. So he's not a billionaire no more, but he's still a millionaire.
Well, they had a lot of money, but apparently they were stupid.
Yeah, they were richer, but they were.
You don't think
They were not it.
education has any value? No, you can. You know what's amazing? I was working on something, and I found out recently that 64% of 8th graders don't read at the 8th grade level in this country.
Really?
I found out something else. 54% of adults in this country have a prose literacy level of a 6th grader. And prose literacy is the ability to read a lot of different texts, do research, articulate and express a thought, a comparison, and to deduce what might be most salient and factual. 54%, the majority of adults in this country have a prose literacy level of a 6th grader. So most adults in this country are thinking at the level of a 6th grader.
And you got the nerve to be mad at somebody. It's like,
no.
You ain't even.
I'm making it
with a 6th grader. No, I'm playing.
The point I'm making is that's actually interesting. But the point I'm making is no wonder you have people who believe that the earth is flat. Because there are a lot of people who think like this billionaire family, that education is invaluable. When it is.
Yeah.
I say this all the time, it has nothing to do with getting a job. It has to do with the fact that you don't want to be 40 and thinking like a 6th grader.
Yeah.
You don't want to be in your 30s and you're still thinking like you did or deducing the world like you did when you were 11. That is the purpose of education. It has nothing to do with a job.
And it's very detrimental to society when you got
You need to be able to adjudicate information and make decisions at the level you're supposed to be living at.
Yeah.
And 54% of the adults in this country are making decisions like they did when they were in the 6th grade.
Which is what, 12 years old?
Yes. Whew. No wonder you got Negroes throwing drinks on each other on reality TV and thinking that's a good way to live. It ain't.
Crazy.
Sorry. Yeah, because that's what you do when you were 12. You throw spitballs, right? Mm-hmm. You know, anything to get attention.
Anything. It's the same psychology.
No, man, you need to read. Listen, I could do a whole thing on this, but it's just I'm disgusted at the celebration of stupidity.
That's a crazy statistic, actually, though, because that's a lot of people if you think about how big our country is. How many people live in America? 300 million, something like that?
300 million people, or a little over that.
So I mean, over 150 million people.
You did the math like that?
Mm-hmm.
It's good.
It's just crazy, though. It's like, I mean, it's not as surprising as it should be. I shouldn't laugh about it because I think it's very alarming in a lot of ways and reminiscent of what's going on in America right now.
Let me tell you something. Democracy cannot survive if people are stupid.
Yeah.
Democracy, here's what Washington and Jefferson and Madison and they pitiful selves didn't tell us.
Yeah.
They didn't tell us that if your citizenry does not have a certain aptitude, it can't hold on to democracy. Stupid people cannot adjudicate the laws of their land.
Yeah.
They're not good at governing their future.
Yeah, and having
Look at Marjorie Taylor Greene, who has to be one of the dumbest people. She can't even figure out what the rules of the House are, and she's been there over 2 years, or at least 2 years. A point of personal privilege, she says in a hearing. There's no personal privilege in a hearing in Congress. That's at the church council meeting.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
When you're dumb, it's problematic. But it goes back to your point, and I cut you off.
You're good.
Because I wanted to bring it back later, and that is, you are arguing with someone who thinks at the level of a 12th grader.
12-year-old.
Yeah.
12th grader would have been even better.
That's right. Thank you for that.
That'd be a blessing. No.
A 12-year-old, right?
Yeah.
And how do you expect this conversation to go? You expect them to be able to what? In their thinking processes, they're 12.
That's crazy.
Everybody watching right now, go outside and argue with a 12-year-old. just start an argument and see what happens. It descends into name calling, right?
Yeah.
Name calling.
Stupid.
And then eventually they're going to either hit you or stomp and run away.
Like kick you in the shin
right?
and take off.
How many adults do the same thing? Instead of going back and forth, really pushing back on points, it descends into name calling.
Cuss words.
Stomping away or
yeah.
kicking you in whatever.
Yeah. So how are we bringing this home? Give everybody something to lean on when they lead us that we learned this episode.
It's just better. You live better when you're smarter. You may not make more money, but you have a better life. Intelligence, the level of your intelligence to me is equal to the level of the goodness of your life.
And it's attractive.
It's very sexy to be smart. But even if it wasn't, and I'm not talking formal education, right? I'm not talking everybody has to go to college. I'm not saying that, people. College is not for everybody.
Yeah.
But people should be educating themselves, reading and thinking constantly, so that they can be, at the end of their lives, fundamentally different than they were at the beginning. And if you get to the middle of your life and you are still fundamentally unaware, then you have failed yourself. It's not your mama's fault. It's not your daddy's fault. I'm going to make some people mad. It ain't even America's fault. Because at some point, the will to learn and the will to be better
it's on you.
Is what you have to reach for.
Man, and that's how we going to end this one today.
And I'm not a Republican.
We know
Although
that.
I just kind of sounded like one, but it's kind of true.
Hey, first of all, the party system, we're not even going into all of that right now.
This is the end. Don't do that.
Yeah, that's the end of it.
That.
But
Don't do that. All right, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. I got to grab the wheel.
I'm glad you did.
It's been a great show. We covered a lot of ground. Thank you for being part of this. Listen, we'll be back soon. Make sure you check us out next week. And what are these platforms we're on? Man, we're on Spotify, Apple Music. Are we on Tidal? Maybe. We on all of them. We on all the streaming platforms, all the major ones. So make sure you tap in and you can listen to us in your headphones or in your car, wherever you are. See you next time. See you next time.